Imagine this. A wild lioness, desperate and heartbroken, approaches a stranger's home in the middle of nowhere. What happens next will leave you speechless. If you're curious to know how this incredible story unfolds, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's dive into this unforgettable tale. Deep in the heart of a vast grassland near a wildlife reserve in East Africa, there lived a man named Elijah. He called a tiny weather hut his home, nestled on the edge of a sprawling wilderness. Every morning, Elijah woke up at sunrise to enjoy the cool breeze and sip his coffee while watching the golden savanna stretch endlessly before him. But one day, something extraordinary happened. As Elijah opened his creaky wooden door, the dry wind slapped against his face, making him shiver slightly. Still groggy from sleep, he held on to his empty cup tightly, trying to wake himself up. Just then, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed movement. A few steps away from his porch stood an adult lioness. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't lurking. She was just there, staring at him with eyes full of desperation. Her front legs trembled. Her fur was muddy and wet, and it looked like she'd been running for hours. Elijah froze. His heart pounded as he tried to figure out what to do next. Then the lioness tilted her head ever so slightly, revealing a small, limp creature in her mouth. It was her cub. The poor little thing was injured, its legs dangling lifelessly, one ear dripping with dry blood. The sight made Elijah's stomach churn. Without growling or showing any aggression, the mother gently placed the cub on the wooden floor of his porch. The cub's chest heaved weakly. It was barely alive. Elijah swallowed hard. Here he was, face to face with Africa's deadliest predator, yet all he could think about was saving the cub. Slowly, he took a step forward, then another, until he was close enough to see the cub trembling, its body frail and cold. The lioness didn't move, didn't roar. She simply watched him with pleading eyes. Elijah bent down, wrapped the cub in his flannel shirt, and carried it inside. He closed the door behind him but left a crack open, peeking out to see the lioness still sitting silently on the porch. Inside, Elijah scrambled to find towels, warm water, and whatever supplies he could use to help the cub. Its wounds were deep, and he knew he needed expert advice. He picked up the phone and dialed Moses, a veterinarian who lived nearby. At first, Moses thought it was a joke, but hearing the urgency in Elijah's voice, he gave him simple instructions. Keep it warm, don't feed it solids, and give it warm water mixed with honey. Elijah rummaged through his kitchen, found some old honey, mixed it with water, and carefully dripped it into the cub's mouth. The cub twitched its lips slightly, a sign that it still wanted to live. Outside, the lioness remained steadfast, her eyes fixed on the door. "It's still breathing," Elijah whispered softly, unsure she understood. In response, the lioness shook her mane and lay down, waiting patiently. For hours, Elijah tended to the cub, wrapping it in blankets, keeping it warm by the heater, and checking its breathing constantly. By noon, the cub let out a faint groan, moving its legs slightly. "Don't give up, little one," Elijah murmured, his voice choked with emotion. Later that afternoon, Moses called back and said he'd send Naomi, a wildlife rescue expert, to help. When Naomi arrived at dusk, she was surprised to see the lioness showing no signs of aggression. After examining the cub, she explained that the injuries might have been caused by another male lion trying to take over territory. Carefully, she injected the cub with antibiotics while Elijah held his breath. That night, Elijah stayed awake, watching over the cub, feeding it more honey water whenever it stirred. By dawn, the cub's eyes fluttered open weakly, and Elijah felt a surge of hope. The next day, Elijah decided to take the cub to a nearby clinic for further treatment. As he placed the cub in a plastic crate and stepped outside, the lioness let out a low growl. "I'll bring it back, I promise," Elijah said softly. The drive to the clinic was nerve-wracking, but once there, the cub received fluids and proper bandaging. When Elijah returned with the cub, the lioness sniffed it carefully, then lay down, trusting him completely. Over the next few days, Elijah continued to care for the cub, applying medicine and keeping it warm. Slowly, the cub began to heal. For the first time, it stood on all fours, waddling clumsily around the room. Elijah couldn't contain his joy. He called Naomi to share the news. Meanwhile, the lioness stayed nearby, watching her cub from a distance. But one night, when Elijah went out to check on the lioness, she was gone. Only faint footprints remained on the dry ground. Inside, the cub whimpered softly, scratching at the door, searching for its mother. Elijah realized that the lioness had entrusted her cub to him, believing he was the only one who could save it. And so, Elijah vowed to raise the cub with love and care, understanding the weight of the responsibility she had placed in his hands. Moral lesson: sometimes nature reaches out to us in unexpected ways, asking for our compassion and help. When we respond with kindness, we become part of something greater than ourselves. If this story touched your heart, please consider subscribing and leaving a comment below. Stories like these remind us of the power of empathy and connection, not just between humans, but between all living beings.